What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McCollister, and I think this is my regular guest recently. It's just been Dianne, so I'm stoked to have my bride here with me on this one. Say what's up, baby.
Thank you. Hi.
um, I love having other guests, and we have a bunch that are lined up, but I could get on here like last night. I almost jumped on here when you were gone and recorded a podcast, and I was like, I just don't feel like getting on here for 20, 30 minutes and talking to myself. I mean, obviously I'm talking to all of you guys listening to this, but
By yourself.
it's just so much nicer having you here. And then like we go back and forth. And then what I love is also the men just love getting the women's perspective
Right.
on things as well. And so I'm pumped. Guys, we had a couple topics we were going to kick around and we were going to do today, but literally I just saw a story on Instagram that a close friend of ours posted. Now, here's the thing about this close friend. Big business owner, owns like, 4 or 5 businesses, him and his wife, mainly him, but his wife's a part of the team as well. And they're from our old city where we used to live and things like that. And great guy, amazing couple.
Amazing.
And he's more advanced than we are, let's say, in business and focus on that and his drive for that. But on like spiritual and personal development, the bar is a lot lower than where we are at in those areas, which is cool to have friends like that in our lives, because then, hey, we can hold them accountable. We can challenge them. We can point their blind spots out, and vice versa. They can do that to us in so many different ways. But anyways, with that being said, it's crazy where their marriage is at. They have a really good marriage. Their marriage, babe, is probably where our marriage used to be, where when we were in Eureka, to where like they don't argue, they have sex, they do life together, and at that time we thought our marriage was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not realizing
there was new levels.
There's so much above that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they might be a little more ahead with like their conversations and things that they have on that.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're still like in that spot where they're like, you guys are missing the mark on so many different things. And that's not necessarily intentional, like where they're like, I just don't care. I mean, I think there's some that they just haven't been exposed to it yet. And now they're getting exposed, and it's really cool to see what happens. And so this is going to be beneficial for all of you guys, whether you're a business owner, entrepreneur, professional athlete, CEO, anything like that. Or I don't want to say you're just an average Joe, because that's not what I'm saying, but or whoever, this is beneficial for those. Because what we're seeing is wives, no matter what, are followers of their husbands in all aspects. And that's biblical. It's supposed to be that way. Men are supposed to be the leaders, not a better or above, or women aren't equal. We just have our roles, and we're as that leader in those things. It's just like a quarterback on a football team, super important and kind of the leader, but it means nothing without the offensive lineman who's doing the thing, or the wide receiver, or the coach, or anything like that. And it is just as integral, if not more. That's how wives are with the husbands.
Yes.
So what we've noticed about this couple is fitness could have been better. Spiritual life could be better. And we notice a lot of emotional instability where we talk to them a lot and they're really stressed, having a lot of like emotional times in their life, hard things that are going on. It seems like there's always a new issue, whether that's with their kids or a family member or something like that.
It's kind of chaotic.
And it's not that's not life for all of us, because it is. You can just tell in their tone of voice, their body language and things like that. It's impacting them negatively more so than it should.
Yes.
And anyway, so to make a long story short, they're on vacation right now. And recently he hired himself. He's always done business coaches, but he hired himself a business coach / personal development / like fitness coach, which is why we coach on 4 different pillars as well, because it's what matters. And now you're watching what's happening in his life. Well, who do you think all of a sudden is getting the benefit of that?
His wife.
Right? Like Dianne was just telling me right before I got on here, she was getting text messages from her that were like standing out.
Yeah, I can totally tell that there's a difference going on with the way that she's speaking to me.
And so I'm going to break this guys down for you, how this works and how this can be beneficial to your guys' life. But I want to use it as like an actual scenario for you guys to see. So that's why I'm going in on him here. But anyways, in his stories, he was saying because they're in Mexico right now on vacation. And he was saying, and they invited us, but honestly, we didn't go for the one main reason is they like to drink, and they were bringing another couple with them that likes to drink, and that's not faith filled.
That's not our style.
That's not our style. If we're hanging out with people, we're gonna have like
faith-filled conversations,
dude,
growth.
We're gonna be praying. We're gonna be having like faith-filled conversations. We're gonna be spitting Bible verses. We're gonna be in the gym crushing it. We're not gonna be drinking, and the Holy Spirit's just gonna be moving. So every conversation's truly of God, and not just because I'm liquored up and I'm saying all these cool things because I'm liquored up. None of that, right? Yes. And so I was like, we were like, that's not our crowd.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go spend thousands of dollars and take time away from our kids and our business and things like that, this needs to be a trip to where we come back as better individuals and are filled up. But that wasn't going to be the scenario. What's cool to see is that is kind of being the scenario to a certain extent. Obviously, he's there with a non-faith filled believing, so I don't know what's happening in the faith department there. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is I'm watching it in the other areas where leading up to this, they both lost a ton of weight. I don't say a ton, but like 10, 15 pounds. Yeah. And it's not they were obese, but they definitely could have tightened it up a little bit. And doing that in their mood, they had major sugar addictions. They've cut out all sugar from their life. Mm-hmm. And every time they would come over to us, they'd always usually have a cocktail, just one or maybe two. And if they go out to dinner, you would always see them with a cocktail or two. Mm-hmm. And all of that. I'm not going to get into alcohol too deep on this one. But anyway, so then now that down there, and he put a story out saying, hey, I'm day 3 or 4 vacation right now. And I haven't had an alcoholic beverage, which was surprising to me. He didn't tell me he was going to do that. And 2, he's like, so all I've drank is water. I've been at the gym every day. And my goal is to leave this vacation as a better individual than when we showed up.
Yes.
And I was so stoked that he said that, because now Dianne says, I'm noticing text messages from his wife that sound way more encouraging, way more abundance, when normally the text messages or the conversations that we have with her is like, you could just tell the stress in her voice of like just fatigued or broken down or, oh, things are so hard. Yeah. I'm just like, and then she would get really emotional and cry a bunch and things like that. I'm not saying crying's bad, but there is a time where it's like, why are you crying so much? Is because you're not like living from a place of like, yo, you're more of like a whoa. That worked out good.
Yeah, it did.
And that's why it would typically come in. So this is where it comes to following men. For the past few years of their relationship, I'd probably say 5. He's been a savage entrepreneur for 20 years. Yeah. She's new to the entrepreneur field in the past 5. And because they've been married 10 years, that's why they're actually in Mexico. And what I noticed was how we lead is how our spouse will follow, right? Marriage is a direct reflection. Mm-hmm. Well, so all the books he was reading, all the coaches he was hiring, all the things he was talking about was business. So naturally, what did his wife start doing?
Right. Go after anything with business.
So she started start her own businesses. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, I don't feel like that's what she's 100% called to do in this moment, or at least the field. She was like, well, I'll choose this thing and I'll go for it because I kind of have some experience in it and I'll just do this.
Which might be okay, but I think other things just needed to be
the personal development side. Yeah. You can't fix, as we always say, you can't fix the outside before you fix the inside. Right, exactly. If you want to scale your business, you need to scale yourself, right? And so she was doing these things and just not having success. Mm-hmm. Or much success, and it was breaking her down. It was stressing her out. It was overwhelming her. It was killing her self-confidence and things like that. And it was evident to us and clear. But then, so their conversations and all things are about that. God bless him. I'm not dogging him. I'm just from our perspective. He's only focusing on business. Well, of course, that's what whatever we focus on is what we're going to head towards. So that's where his conversations are going to be around and all of things like that. Mm-hmm. I remember not this year, but last year they said that, hey, we're going out to dinner for New Year's and we're going to talk about our yearly goals. And then we asked her, hey, how did your yearly goals go? And she goes, well, we didn't get to any of our personal, all we got to was our business goals. Hence what we're talking about. Because that's all we're reading and focusing on and doing is business is all we're going to do, mm-hmm. right? And so that's what we'll focus on. Now that, and so it was breaking her in a lot of ways. And this is what will happen in marriage. For you guys, it's not only about business. For some of you guys who do this, this is a big part of it. but it could be other things. If you're not focusing on health, faith, things like that, your wife is following you on those.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be very clear, so then it's going to create division because her self-worth and confidence aren't going to be in the right areas where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But when you focus on the right things, they'll follow you to those things. If you've gotten it to a point where there was a crossroad and they went the other direction where they've lost respect for you, or because they've lost respect for you because they're so broken that they're no longer going to follow you because these things that we've been doing for so long would have broken me, it would have taken us to the wrong spot. This could very well have happened to this couple, which is why couples get to the 15, 20-year mark and all of a sudden have a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, they are seeking the Lord more and personal development more. And they do have that mindset that it does keep them together. But now I just told him in a message, I'm like, dude, you're about to watch what God's going to do in your guys' life because you're getting the other pieces to the puzzle. And for the longest time, you were driving a car with two wheels.
Yes.
And now that's happening. Well, what's happening? When he hired a personal coach, he didn't say, babe, I'm hiring a coach
for the two of us.
Yes. And he's done that in business in the past where it's like they're doing the business coaching together.
Yeah.
He hired it for himself. Well, what's happening? Now she loses her sugar addiction. She's starting to feel better. She was just telling us last couple weeks ago when we got together, she's like, oh my God, my mood, my how I'm feeling, everything in my life is getting so much better now that I've cut that out.
Yeah.
That only happens because he decided to lead himself that well.
Right. So she's following along.
So she said, you know what? I'll join you.
Yeah.
Now, I know some of you are saying, well, my wife would never do it. It's because you get pushed for too long in the wrong directions that your wife got to the crossroads and then took a different turn.
Yeah.
It's not like, but if you did it right out the gate in marriage, it would be able to do this, right? Or if you still were killing it in a few other areas like him, he was leading himself and doing big things in business the right way and still having good quality time with his wife, that it did keep them yoked in that. So when he was ready to lead in the better directions, she was there with them. It hadn't created this division and separation yet. So you might not be in that spot, but that doesn't mean you do not focus on the right things that are actually more important than, hey, I'm going to hire a business coach so we can scale my business. That at the end of the day means absolutely nothing if you are dead on the inside, or you're not spiritually, mentally, and physically on point. Your outside business will not matter. That's why you see people kill themselves who have millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Why do you think you see celebrities who have millions of dollars of fame and all that stuff kill themselves or on drug addictions?
Because they hate themselves inside.
Inside's dead.
Yeah.
So with this situation, she's following him. So when he said, I'm going to do this, I'm doing this mindset stuff, blah, 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 she now says, okay, I'm going to start reading. He says, okay, and I'm going to do this fitness thing. She says, I'm going to do it. They say, I'm going on vacation and I'm not drinking. And believe me, I haven't seen her anytime, whether that was 4th of July, a barbecue, hanging over, without some type of like Truly or whatever those drinks are.
I don't even know.
Drink in her hand. Not that she was getting hammered by any means.
No.
She's not that person at all.
Just like one or two.
Yeah, 1 to 3, right? And here's the thing. Her parents, alcoholics. Well, why do you think she drinks? What is caught is taught. What is caught is taught is the same in marriage as well. So now her husband still has drinks, so it's giving her the permission. But now her husband says, I'm going on vacation and I'm not having drinks. What do you think she does?
Yep.
I'm not having drinks.
Follow the influence.
They're working out every day, and now they're there with people who do drink. And he says it is a little weird being there with people who do drink. There's some pressure and things like that. We're used to it now.
Yeah, but they're setting the standard for the other couple that's there.
And then they go, well, why? And here I'm going to touch on alcohol for a second for you guys. That's why in our quiz that we have, the attraction quiz, how often do you drink alcohol, is one of the questions. Because you might say, well, my wife drinks too. Exactly. She drinks too.
That's the problem.
And that's the issue.
Yeah.
Drinking is being used as a crutch to make you feel less stressed, to make your life better, to bring happy and good, better moments to your life.
That's why people on Friday nights after a long work week, they go and want a drink.
What if your life was just so good, you didn't need a drink?
Yeah.
What if you were so close to God, you didn't need a drink? What if when you walk by the mirror, you were like, yo, you killing it, bro. You don't need a drink, because you can wear a Whoop band, an Oura ring, or anything like that. Every single person who tells you who wears one of those have one drink, your recovery score goes to like literally like you're dead. It goes into the deep, deep red, which means you can't train tomorrow. You shouldn't train tomorrow. Your body is not recovered. Your sleep score is terrible from one drink.
Isn't that crazy?
So imagine if you had 3. What if you did it every single night? Now your recovery every single night after just one drink, because you're going to say, well, it's just one drink, man. No, yeah, you're killing your sleep. When you kill your sleep, you kill your hormones, you kill your mood. Then your sex drive goes out there. You don't show up as vibrant to your wife and to your kids. You don't show up as creative in your work. All of that stuff adds up. That's one of the reasons I don't drink. There's two main ones, though, why I don't drink. Number one, I don't want anybody to ever mistake a word out of my mouth and think Tommy's only saying that
because he's drinking.
Because he has drink in his hand.
Yeah.
Like right now, if you guys saw me put a beer to my mouth and be like, you're instantly going to lose credibility for what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Now, if I'm speaking, and Dianne will, anybody who's ever coached one-on-one with me will know how much I absolutely love and give and serve above and beyond and pour into your life and just speak truth and possibility and hope into you.
Absolutely.
Every single person will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I do that too in my conversations at barbecues, things like that. And if I had a drink in my hand, somebody would think,
is he only saying those things because he's a little tipsy?
Yeah, you would question it.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to ever question it. I would question it.
Yeah.
Am I only fired up right now because I'm feeling loose?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this God moving? Because the other day, when we were taking a group of men to the Grand Canyon, we had people flying from all over the country. And so because the cars were split up, I had one guy with us and I was going in on him. And he's working through a relationship issue. And I was just like, dude, this is what God told me this week. And I was going in on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the Holy Spirit was moving so much. And I go, and God, I think showed me that the other day so I could be in this moment right now with you in the car and I could tell you this. And do you remember what you said?
I don't remember.
You said,
I was driving.
You said, oh my God, I got such crazy chills right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that. Well, then that fills my cup. Whose cup did it also fill?
Mine.
How did she see me? But now she sees me like, yeah, oh, bro. Like, and I have a drink in my hand. And maybe she's a little numbed or liquored up a little bit, one or two, even just taking that top edge off. She's not going to get the chills. Mm-hmm. She's not going to feel the spirit. She's not going to see me in the light that she sees me. And then now she's not going to want to follow me. Just on yesterday, we had a coaching call last night. No joke. Hour-long call. And
I honestly know what you're going to say.
I didn't know what I was going to talk to this couple about. And things like that, because it's kind of a reoccurring issue and something that they have. And like out of nowhere, like we pinpointed the biggest issue in their lives.
Yeah, we didn't know we were going to talk about that. It just came up.
Zero. Yeah. And it was like the most powerful call we've ever had with this couple. Mm-hmm. Like shook the world for them. Well, after that, Dianne had about 45 minutes to eat dinner, get our son ready.
Get both kids dinner.
Get our son ready because he's going to his youth group, and then have to drive a half hour and pick up another kid on the way to take them to the youth group. And all of a sudden I see Dianne looking at me.
And looking at my watch like, do I have time?
And I'm like, what's going on? Next thing you know, she locks the door and off come the clothes. And that happens because she sees me in my element.
Yeah. Leading others.
And Dianne said at the end of the call, she goes, I don't know what was up with me, but like she says, it took me about a half hour to warm up. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yeah, I ain't even tripping on that, babe. I was ripping. And so she got to see me in my element, right? Hence, I wasn't making a move on her.
No.
I didn't like, hey, we got time? Hey, you want to have sex?
Not at all. You didn't say a word.
I didn't say nothing.
No.
Did I want to have sex? Yes. But she made the move. Yeah. Because I wasn't going to force it unless she has 45 minutes. Had I made a move, she would have said, okay. I know she would have. But I ain't trying to like, babe, now I'm going to have sex with you. And now I'm going to make you possibly late for the youth group. And then you're not going to be able to eat like a nutritious dinner because you have to grab something and hit it on the road and go like because of this. Is it still worth it? Yes. But as a husband, I'm not going to put my wife in a corner and be like, wow, this is because of this. Now, even though I know she wanted it. She took that initiative to do it because of the way I was leading.
Exactly.
So because of this, to circle back to the situation, now this guy's wife is following him in the right direction. All of this. What do you think that's going to do? Her confidence is going to skyrocket. She's going to know the Lord better. She's going to be able to speak possibility into her kids better.
Mm.
And now she's probably going to find what her business is actually is, because she's finding self-worth and she's finding what actually is changing her life. All the other stuff she was doing wasn't really changing her life.
Yeah.
And so she isn't going to be excited to coach that every day. I'm excited to do this every day because it's changed my life. I was the other person. I was probably you. But that's why I'm passionate about it. So now that her life's going to change, and his obviously 100% already has,
Oh yeah.
what do you think's going to happen to their sex life? Go through the roof. What do you think's going to happen in their conversations? Go through the roof. What do you think's going to happen to their business? Go through the roof. What do you think's going to happen to their marriage? It's going to go from where we used to say ours was, yeah, a really good marriage is what we thought.
Yeah. It's going to scale up.
Little did we know there was so much more. Only reason it was probably at like a 7 was because we were missing that like mind-blowing passion for Christ and personal development and how I was leading and all these other things. That was blocking it. Not because we were arguing and not having sex. We were still, but it was boring. And then when we got that other stuff, sex was like mind-blowing all of a sudden.
Right. Which is funny because, you know what, so many people think that like the personal development and faith and stuff don't make a huge difference in a marriage. Well, that completely is what changed ours and what we see with so many other people. It's crazy.
It's
But
the only
it's
thing
like
that matters.
Yeah, it's the biggest components.
It's the only thing that matters. If you become better physically, mentally, which is mainly handling the stresses of this world and not letting them knock you back and things like that, spiritually, number one, and surround yourself with amazing people, whether that's coaches and friends, your life will drastically change, and your wife will eventually get there. She's either already going to be closer than some, and even if she's farther away, it will take time for the tractor beam to pull her in, but she will get there if you stay there. But if that whole time you're focused on personal development, you're still focused on she's not doing enough, she's not getting naked for me, she's not having sex with me, she's not doing this, she's not doing that, the tractor beam is pushing her away. But if you just stand here, grow you, and that's all you're focused on is becoming the fire for God, physical specimen, and that's not just so you look good, that's a small part of it, that's so you perform good and are proud of yourself and show discipline because you're a walking billboard for your wife, kids, and your employees and customers. And then lastly, mentally, you're just on point and the things of the world are not impacting you, then good things happen.
Your wife will naturally be attracted to that and naturally, like a bug to a light,
100%.
slowly start going toward that.
And you've removed all expectations and pressure. As we've said, you're enough in yourself.
Yeah.
Your wife will be the one locking the door and chasing you down.
Yeah. Because 100%. If you pressure her on it, she's not going to go that direction. She's going to steer the other way. But if you just attract it naturally, watch out.
The desperation and the still saying, well, she's not doing this, it's not working, she's not giving me sex, all of that.
It's not because you're saying it.
It's overshadowing the good that you're doing. Yeah. Let that speak for itself. Yeah. It may be 8 months, it may be 8 days, depending on where your relationship is at. But you have to keep doing it. You can't just do it for 8 months. She comes back and then you're like, all right, I can let off the gas a little bit. Yeah. That's where people see the problems. You can never, ever
for the rest of your life.
It is. It's the rest of your life. Yeah. Keep growing, going, and getting better. Yeah. And new things come in, and we're always learning more, and God's showing us more, and we're growing there. But because of that, that will lead and bleed over into the marriage. So I'm about to watch this couple's life go through the roof in so many ways, which is, I've been real with you. Like, I've been frustrated in a lot of ways because of that, because sometimes you don't want to hear it from the closest people to you. Yeah. And I also didn't want to push them away as jerks and be like, dude, you need to step your game up in those things. I probably should have more so than I did, and just called out, as he should with me, maybe in some business aspects, because he's a killer in those areas. That's what friends are for.
Hold each other accountable.
And that's what spouses are for as well, with that, on all of those things. And so I want you guys to know that this is so huge of it. If you feel like your wife isn't following you, it's because you can't follow yourself. You can't lead others until you can lead yourself. And you might seem overwhelmed, stressed, and all of that. Well, guess what? Your wife's overwhelmed and stressed and all of that. So it may seem like she's uninterested or she's not following you. Yeah. It's that she is following you, just following all of the bad habits and traits of your life as well. And it's not always drinking, it's not always drugs, it's not always porn, it's just stress and overwhelm or lukewarm faith. That's where they're at. And because of that, it causes disillusion and dysfunction in so many different things. You fix that, you fix the marriage on all of that. So I want to tell you, is that that's when they'll start following and you'll pull them in
Mm-hmm.
on these things. I'm telling you, it does start with the husband. Can the wife do this too? Yes, it's going to be a little more challenging in certain aspects because that's just out of the order of what
Yeah.
God has planned. But if you are a female, then do it 100%. Don't wait
Yeah.
for
If
your
your husband's
spouse.
not doing it, then you take the lead and do it.
100%, but you can't have resentment for them as well. You probably will because you know that they should be doing that as the male leader,
Mm-hmm.
and God is letting you know that as well,
Right.
that that's so important for you to be able to do that. You know, one of the things I just want to touch on the mental component real quick here is the couple we were talking to last night. He's always that guy who needs sex and intimacy to feel loved. That's probably 95% or more of you listening to this podcast.
Or you think you need that.
Right. It's an aspect of it. It's a component of it.
For sure.
He just wants to be desired, needed. Because one of the things that he was saying was, I recently did a project around the house and she had one of her friends come over and help me. And I was bummed because it took the spotlight off of me from being able to get the recognition for it. He's just looking to be seen, heard, recognized,
Yeah.
respected, and all of that, because the sex is the one way that he feels that, and he's not getting it in any of the other ways. And so it's like, well, sex will be the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I told them after listening, she was crying majority of the call.
Yeah.
She's a business owner who's overwhelmed, even though the business is doing really good. They have a special needs child who's 20 or 21, so it's a full-time job in itself, and she's overwhelmed, and you could just tell. And I was thinking to myself, well, this is your situation that you've chosen with the business. Like, do you not want to do it? Like, because this is what it is.
Right.
Like, you could not do it and do something else, but that's not my suggestion by any means. And we pinpointed to that she stopped putting effort into herself in a lot of different things, spiritually, physically, mentally, none. So she's being overwhelmed. And she's not allowing him to be the rock in that. We had to encourage her, allow him to be your decompress.
Right.
Allow you to open up to him.
Right.
Allow
Share your thoughts and feelings and emotions.
Getting vulnerable with that. When he
Mm-hmm.
comes from work, can be like, oh, babe, I'm just so thankful you're home, and just melt into his arms and then just talk about things and share things and just allow it. He will drastically care less about sex. It will be also the thing that will bring more sex because he'll be emotionally supporting you, and the intimacy from
Right.
that will be there.
Yeah.
But it'll take the pressure off of her because of the sex when she's just not in the mood because she's so stressed. It'll also be a decompression of the pressure release valve when she speaks into somebody instead of just burying it. She's like, well, it's just not fun to talk about that stuff. Well, it's just not fun to hold it in, and eventually you're going to blow up just like you are right now.
Exactly.
Your health and your
Yeah.
health is going in the wrong direction. We can
Right.
see it.
Mm-hmm.
And mentally it's going in the wrong direction by you holding it in. So allow him to be that. And when you allow him to be that, he'll feel like, I'm her rock, I'm her lighthouse, I'm
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yeah. You can't leave them in the dark.
And by doing that, he'll feel needed, and his need for sex will go down because his cup will be getting full because you just desire him emotionally. Then that would be great. So women, that's a huge part for you as well on that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it. Or men, it's vice versa. You have to be able to tell your spouse that and allow them to be a rock for you.
Yes.
That is emotional intimacy, which then they will understand you more, and that will lead to more intimacy as well on those things. And so, guys, I'm telling you, your wife is following you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
It's just maybe not looking like it because of those things. And so I'm challenging you, do the right things, and it gets to the right place. And so with that being said, we're almost full on our one-on-one coaching. We have some for our group coaching and our digital course that comes with a group and community, which is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, the people I work with in our one-on-one is CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, athletes, people like that who I work with. If that's you, message me. If that's not you, you can still message us and reach out on that type of thing. There is a financial investment is substantial and to a certain extent for some people, but it also changed your life. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
So will the other program. All I'm just telling you is we'll get you there physically, mentally, and spiritually and relationally. So you're enough in yourself and your spouse is enough in you. Don't wait. You can do it on your own, but if you want the fastest rate around there, around the mountain, invest into coaching, whether that's with us, whether that's somebody else. I don't care. I just want
Yeah,
to see you win,
exactly.
and good things will happen. So, all right, guys, much love, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless y'all.
Bye.